Well, here I am. I didn't know if it was going to happen, Captain. I've been trying to go live. And it just kept a do. Good evening, Junkyard. Amish. Hope you all had a good weekend. Mini Somalia, yeah. Went and picked up my stuff yesterday. Yesterday when I was young. I took the car, janky internet. Can you guys see me? Late, but not never. Yeah. Anyways, I took the car and the hitch platform. Yeah, the busy weekend was good. Went there to pick it up, and we took the chair apart to get it out of the house. The chair took damn near the whole car. That's how big this chair is. They didn't give a size or anything like that on the chair. And I seen that the guy was wearing 3XL long shirts and stuff like that. And that's what they had for sale, long coats. And the auctioneer told me the guy weighed about 450 pounds and was damn near 7 feet tall. So he probably wasn't really fat. He was just big. He had a ceiling fan that in his living room, and they said he actually hit his head on the blades one time, and from then on he ducked walking through the living room. So, anyways, we got the chair home and got it. Anyways, got that loaded. Brought out the turkey fryer and stuff. Had to go to the garage to get all the other stuff. Got the turkey fryer, put that in the car, and went to put the sandblast cabinet in there. And from the pictures, the sandblasting cabinet looked like it was only like a 12 by 12 or something like that. Just a real small sandblasting cabinet. No, it wasn't. It's like 30 inches by 24. By 18 or something like that. It's a nice size sandblasting cabinet. And so I took the torches and the hoses off the tanks. I said, hey, is there any caps for these here? He said, let me look. I'll look. I don't think so. There wasn't any caps for them. So we laid the tanks down in the cart on the trailer the hitch platform, excuse me. Strapped them together, strapped them from the front to back. Then we set the sandblasting cabinet on top of that, and then strapped that to that, and then strapped everything again to the hitch platform. And I was scared as hell the entire time coming home. Didn't know if the tanks were going to slide out of there and, have us a rocket sled on rails, or if I was going to lose my sandblasting cabinet or anything else on the way. Got home. Everything was intact. Didn't lose anything. Unloaded the sandblasting cabinet, put that in the garage, and before we took the cart the cutting torch cart off in the platform. I aired up the air compressor because it had 2 flat tires on it. I went to air them up and said, hey, yeah, my lucky day, these things, they're little bitty tires. They had inner tubes in them. So they aired right up, which I was glad. So, I come home. I had them take that chair, the old chair apart. And then the old chair I had to set up on 2x4s because the legs on it were so short that the footrest would actually rub the carpet. So I had it up on 2x4s. So this one, they brought it in, put it together, we hooked it all up. It's comfortable. The only thing is it's so big, it has to sit like 8 inches further out in the bedroom than the other one did. Because the back of the chair, I bet is 3 feet tall. So, but it's a nice chair. Nice and comfy, nice and wide. Yeah. Got heat, air, it's got heat and massage. Lift up, lift down, all that good stuff. Probably one of the best chairs I ever bought for $120. Maybe a dually, yeah. It's so big you probably put a dually in there, yeah. Almost. Doesn't matter what it looks like as long as it gets you home. No. That'd be duty. Yep. You may laugh, but I was out looking at new trucks because I'm gonna pay for it with my YouTube earnings. So yeah. Skada. Yeah. You were right the first time. No. That's what we did this weekend. Today was our daughter's 39th birthday. 39. Yeah. Dale. So Kathy made her taco dip or 7-layer dip. I don't know what you want to call it. They come over for dinner. Kathy made 2 big pans of it, one for dinner here and then one for them to take home so she could have taco dip at home. So I had beef and noodle soup and some taquitos because I'm not a fan of the taco dip. I'll eat some of it once in a while, but it's very seldom, and I don't eat a lot of it. It's not that I like everything in it except for the sour cream. I can't take that much sour cream. Yeah, a deer roast today. That's cool. Special cream, that's right. I did too. Walking out the door last, yeah. We are having tomorrow, always tomorrow. Um, we're having pork stew meat. I'm gonna fry it up, and then I'm gonna put it in a saucepan with mushroom soup to make a gravy with it. We're gonna have mashed potatoes and what's that? Not you. Oh, what are you having? Oh, you having that dip? Huh? I can't hear you, honey. I said, what are you having tomorrow? Oh, you're having rice. Yeah. All right. Mashed potatoes or rice. And I'm going to make some stovetop stuffing to go with that pork. So you can have that too with it. You know a girl called Pig Butt? Yeah. So whippersnapper? Yeah. Anyways, that's what we're having tomorrow for dinner. I went to Monahan's, bought a 10-pound tube of 80/20. And Kathy, she fried up some of that and packaged the rest of it. She bought a package of hamburger yesterday. And then we put all that in the freezer. And then I dropped that off here. And then I went to Meijer to pick up my food, flash food. And I got to Meijer's and I'm down there at the meat end and they had 81.19 for $3 off a tube. So it's $15 a tube. So I bought 2 tubes of that, 3-pound packages, $5 a pound. That sounds pretty good. Baked beef pot pie. I love chicken pot pie or beef pot pie. I do. So, 96 cents. And come on, come on. Yeah. You're gonna have to get rid of them cats. Oh, it's made by a company. Oh, that sounds pretty good. You know, you'll go to these places and they'll have pot pies and stuff, and they'll bring it to you. And what it is a dish with stuff in it and a pie shell on top. I don't like it that way. If I want a pot pie, that damn thing's got to have a bottom crust in it too, because that's what a pie is. Sorry, but that's what it is. So. The hell is that? Oh. I bet they are real good. They have the bottom crust, right? I said that's the only way to make a pie. A lot of people, when they make the pot pies or whatever, they screw up and they put the dough in, and then they put the filling in and the pie crust, and they throw it in the oven. Oh, par bake that thing for 10 minutes. Then put the stuff, the filling in, and then the crust, top crust. Then put it in the oven. So, the cat, the girl, she's having a hard time with a new chair. They pulled the old chair out, and she jumped on that in the living room, and she didn't want to get off of it. Like she was losing her best friend. Now, she don't never sit in the chair by herself or anything. Never has. When I'm in the chair, she'll sit in it with me. But it took her up to about 9:30 last night for her to actually hop up in that chair with me and lay down. She would get up there and then she'd walk around and then she'd jump off. And she would do that several times. Finally, I think she's getting used to it now to, I don't know, come around to it, I guess. She's had a lot of changes in the last 2.5 months. We got a new stove, and that screwed around with her because she couldn't realize, because she used to see her reflection in the other stove, and that kind of screwed her up. And then the refrigerator, the bottom kick plate was gone, and she would reach in there and pull the water tray out, and they had to push it back in every day. Sometimes 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times a day. Well, she keeps going over there and she keeps reaching, but she can't do nothing because the bottom plate's there. So that's been a change with it. And then this other chair, Yeah, it's uphill. No. I think, what is the gas here? Oh, we got lower gas prices. And then our governor raised the gas tax up. She took away the state tax and added, I know, I just can't win. And added, like, I don't know, 23 cents or something like that a gallon. And I see where um, oh yeah, we're gonna have better roads. You bet, because they're gonna spend that money wisely. What was I gonna say? Um, Hell, I don't know. I can't think of it now, but oh, they're gonna start construction on the 12th of January, tomorrow, of the tunnel. I've talked about it several times. We have a walking trail that goes for miles, but it's got to cross the main street. And for fear of safety for the pedestrians, they want to put in a tunnel. Because of the traffic. Now, there's probably like maybe on a good day, 6, maybe 7 people that cross that main street using the trail. I know. It's like a long line of them. Now they want to put in a $5 million tunnel. So those 6 or 7 people that cross that on a good day will not have to worry about being struck by a truck or a car or a goose or anything else. I asked, why couldn't we build a bridge 15 feet high? It didn't need to have a center rail in it, or a center support. Build a bridge 15 feet high and let them walk over the road. Well, we can't do that because in case something has to go downtown, it's taller than 15 feet. I said, are you kidding me? There's 2 other roads that you can get to. Sure, they're out of the way, but you can use those roads to get past that bridge. So you don't really, that's not really a given there. Okay, or, a disqualifier. Because there's 2 other roads. There's one road's within 3/4 of a mile and the other road's within a half a mile. And they both lead up to where you can actually take a side street and then you're back right here on the main drag again. And then I said, well, if somebody had to climb 15 feet in the air on stairs, that'd be a long climb. And I said, well, what is the difference if they have to go 4 feet underground? The top of the top of the tunnel is going to be 4 feet underground. So, and you damn well that tunnel is not going to be 6 feet. So it's going to be 10 feet at least tall. So they're going to have to go down 12 feet below grade, at least. I said, you could start with a ramp from 200 feet out each way to get to that 15 foot. It would not be that much of an incline at 200 feet for 15 feet. That would be an incline most everybody could manage, I would think. No, yeah, it would be handicap accessible. Well, what's going to happen with this, and I can guarantee it, is the homeless are going to make it that they're going to make it their winter home. And they've always said, oh, we'll make sure that they don't. We're going to have cameras and lights and everything else in there. Yeah, they are. They're going to have them in there until it gets too damn expensive to take, to keep replacing them. 7 foot. Yeah. So, the homeless bathroom, the bridge would be accessible if they put ramps up there. Just let it be a ramp. They're worried about people jumping off the bridge into traffic and stuff. I said, so you do like everybody else does. You double cage them. You put a cage in it, then you put a cage out 3 feet wider, so they can't. Oh yeah, they're going to have to light it. It's going to have lights. It's going to have cameras. And it's going to have homeless people in it. And they'll graffiti the damn thing up. It'll be painted like you wouldn't believe. So, yeah. After a couple of years of that, they will seal the tunnel. Yeah. They'll seal the tunnel because it'll be a nuisance. And I told you so would be said a lot of times. They do know how to waste money. Then we got a bunch of people crying because they're not going to replace the swimming pool in town. The swimming pool in town was $5 million to replace it. And then there's $2 million worth of cost to tear out the old swimming pool, clean up the area for the environmentals because of all the chlorine and stuff, before they could even build the new swimming pool. And then it would cost $5 million to put in the new swimming pool. And then it was going to cost like $275,000 a year to maintain that new swimming pool because it has a different maintenance schedule than these older pools. Well, the city finally got smart and they said, no, we weren't going to put any more money into the old pool. They found a big leak and they fixed it. And when they fixed that, another leak sprang up inside the pump house onto a part of a machine that they can't even get parts for. So I had to replace that. And that was like $300,000 to replace that part. So they decided not to go with an old, fix the old pool. Well, that's what I said. Why don't you do a water park? Do a water park. Put a go-kart track out there with electric go-karts. Kids love those. They'll go there every day to ride the go-karts in the water park. Charge them, $2 for a 10-minute ride on the go-kart. Or whatever. $5 for a 10-minute ride on the go-kart. That's right. I said, isn't that fantastic? They want to build a new sports complex for the school here. And it's going to be just like, some of these college sports complexes. It's going to have a 60-yard field inside. It's going to have a couple of basketball courts. It's going to have a pickleball court and all this other stuff. It's going to be huge. It's like $25 million to build this thing. $25 million. They want to put it on the ballot to see if it'll pass to get voted for so they can start construction. And I said, you know, they brought it up at the city meeting. The school did. They were there. Guy was sitting right next to me that brought it up. He was part of the school. He was the school principal. And he said his piece. And then I got up there. I said, well, isn't that nice of the school? Want to build a sports complex, but they want us property taxpayers to pay for it. Exactly. We have to pay to build it, and then we have to pay to use it. We have to pay to go in there and watch, you know, if they have competitions in there, we got to pay to go in there and watch them. I said, why don't you guys leave that up to the voters to pay for it, or to leave that up to the property owners to vote for it. Not Joe, Bo, and everybody else that lives in the city. Leave it up to the property owners to vote for it. If you own property, you can vote. If you don't own property, you can't vote on it. Let's see if it passes in. Yeah. No. For what? I don't understand. A $14 million stadium. For what? It'll be 25 years and they'll have to build a new one. We just, in the last 20 years, 25 years, we just pumped $47 million into this school system here, just the public school system here, just to get renovations and some new construction done. $47 million. They didn't build no new buildings. I'm talking about before the 2000s. They did a $25 million or something like that then before the turn of the century. You know, when stuff was a lot cheaper, even 10 years ago, stuff was way cheaper than it is now. So you get a lot more for your buck. So we did the $47 million. We did 25 and then a $22 million. They wanted to spend $365,000, I believe, for an outside classroom, which consisted of a 50 by 50 concrete pad, 6 inches thick, and park benches arranged in a semicircle. And then it had, what do you want to call it? A gazebo or whatever. I mean, not a gazebo, but, you know, like an open roof on it. So, yeah. Because the kids needed to be able to go outside and study. Huh. Okay. Yeah, do it for the kids. Yeah, for a $14 team. Yeah. They look good sucking though, don't they? Yeah. So that's the way it is here. The next meeting is on the 20th. We're not having one on the 19th because, you know, the government has to have that day off too, you know. Huh. I don't ever remember me ever getting that day off. Ever, never, ever did I. Never, ever, ever, ever did I. It is time for another tea party. No. I wrote something the other day. They were talking about, you know, the tunnel. And somebody said, we had a protest that. I said, I got a better solution. Why don't we just have the news say that Donald Trump is in favor for that tunnel in Adrian, Michigan? There'll be a nonstop protest in front of that construction site for the next 2 years. We won't have to worry about protesting. We'll get them lefties to do it for us. Yeah, you're right. That mall should have been torn down back in July. And yet they haven't done a damn thing about it. The back side of the mall, I guess, is caved in and it's open. Or somebody hit it with a car or whatever and knocked in all the glass windows and stuff. The homeless people are living in one of the docks. Yeah, it'll be over time, it'll be over budget. You're right. When they first started, this tunnel is going to cost $5 million. When they first started this tunnel, 4 years ago, when they started the tunnel project, 4 years ago, they haven't even broke ground yet. It was only $2.3 million. That's what it was costing. Now it's over $5 million. But the worst of it is, excuse me. They did eminent domain on some of the houses along the trail so they could buy those houses so they could do the construction. Well, one guy decided your eminent domain didn't mean shit to him, and he lawyered up. And they give him $75,000 for his house, for his property, which was fair market value. And then they went into a closed meeting and gave him $124,000 more. I was at that meeting, and then they come out and they said, yes, we'd like to, I approve, then they had to vote on it, but they didn't tell you what it was for. So I talked to one guy, and city manager, I said, what was that all about? He said, well, one of the guys for the tunnel that owned property there was holding out. We had to give him $124,000 more after we already paid him $75,000. I said, you're kidding? Nope. I said, why didn't they bring that up? Because they didn't want anybody to know. So the next meeting, I come out there, and I said, those closed door meetings? I don't know if these people know it here or not, but you guys give $124,000 of our money away like it was nobody's business, and you didn't care. And they just looked at me like, how the hell did he know? Yeah. That's right. You're in a food court. That's right. Yeah. Oh. And all these people bitching about the ballroom at the White House. He's paying for we're paying for a ballroom for the White House. We're not paying for it. And not a penny of taxpayer funds are going towards it. Then all these Democrats, if a Democrat wins the presidency, their first obligation is to tear the ballroom down. Are you kidding me? It was a city council. If I'm in trouble, I'll blink. Yeah. A couple of them on the city council I get along with. The former city administrator is actually the chief of police for the city of Adrian. He was the acting city administrator. He come up to me after a meeting one day. He said, and the new city administrator says the same thing to me. You say stuff that we can't say, and I sit right there and I clap in my head to you. He says, I'm all for it. I'm all for whatever you say. I believe that you're right. I said, I know I'm right, but these goddamn, communists here that we got, the majority of the city council members are Democrats, and they don't give a shit. They want to spend your money. No. The new city administrator come up to me today after the first meeting. He come up to me and says, I like the way you think. I said, well, thank you. I said, the last city administrator was a dick. He looks at me and I said, that's what he was a plain dick. He was an idiot. So tomorrow morning, we'll have a live stream. And then I'll on the 20th is the city council meeting. So on the 21st, that Wednesday, I'll tell you how everything goes. And you can probably watch it. You can probably watch it on Grizz 270. You know, Johnny on the spot. That's right. That's what he is, a Richard Cranium. He was suffering from a cranial rectal inversion. You see that representative from Michigan, I can't remember it, Tudor or whatever his name is. That guy's had so much plastic surgery. He's 70 years old. He has so much plastic surgery, his skin is stretched so tight. He looks like nasty Paslosi, but brown. Oh, all you got to do is go on YouTube. It's on YouTube the next day. I have to start taking a pen and paper with me and a pair of glasses because I can't see anyways. But because somebody said I was suffering from something, but I can't remember what it was. I keep forgetting. Damn if I know what it is, but I should write it down probably. Whatever you guys see me here, that's about all I am on YouTube. I watch a little bit of Vice Grip Garage, Low Buck Garage, and a couple other channels, and whatever anybody else that I know post. Every once in a while, I'll spend a few minutes and watch early bird specials with Brad, just to see what's going on. But I'm not really on YouTube that often either, that much. I spend a lot of time on Craigslist, on Facebook Marketplace. And then there's a few people I message on Facebook. One's Junkyard. I'll message Dale every once in a while. Hey, trying to shoot you, oh snuggle bunny, you. Hi, Kenny. Jerry, good evening. I spend a lot of time on Facebook Marketplace. Looking. I'm turning into my brother. Except I'm not going for that low quality junk. I want some MTD stuff. Some high quality garden equipment. I understand that. I sold a bunch of stuff Thursday night. I told you guys that. 2 rototillers and some garden equipment and stuff like that. I had a sulky and a David Bradley frame out there with a transmission on it, and a cultivator and partial disc, and well, that's cool. I got rid of some of that stuff. I'm seriously considering thinking about selling the cutting torch and the sandblasting cabinet that I just bought. Because I don't know. I really don't need it, but I bought it because it was a good deal. I got a good bid on it, so. Well, hell. You got to start commenting. Excuse me. I didn't get a good nappy in today. Mail it, yeah, mail it here. There you go. Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Man, this thing's heavy. Take the frying pan out. It wouldn't be so bad. Yeah. I got one of the big ones in here. It's not as big as the other one, but it's close. And that's about all I want to do to lift that one anymore. The other day I made chicken stir fry in the big skillet out here. And I put 3 bags of stir fry mix in with there, plus about 1.5 pounds of chopped up chicken, and still had room. So, what'd you guys do this weekend? Well, that's good. I wouldn't mind taking scrap to the scrapyard if I didn't have to back or drive over a bunch of shrapnel in order to get to it. I can't see, I've been to some scrapyards and they're clean. They keep everything out of the driveways and stuff. You back up to an area, you dump, or unload, and then you drive out and the driveway's clean. But this R&M over there, they want you to back up to the pile and dump, and there's just so much stuff all over the place. So you didn't do nothing and you done a good job at it? Well, that's good. I can't see blowing a $200 tire for $25 worth of scrap. That's the way it should be. You should unload onto a concrete slab and they should keep it clean. But whenever you got to unload in the dirt, you're asking for trouble there. I had to go to a scrapyard up there in Detroit, and you had to drive through a wade pool. It was probably 1.5 feet deep, almost 2 feet deep. And when you drove through it, it would rinse your tires and stuff off. So when you left, you didn't have mud and stuff all over your tires onto the road, which was a good idea. And it sprayed washed too at the bottom. But if you had a flat tire, you'd know it because you would see bubbles coming out of that pool like in nobody's business. You know, losing air from a hole in your tire. You put a rear end in a recliner this weekend? Well, Jerry, I didn't know you was a mechanic. But you must be. You had to brush it off, yeah. Now, I said if they had a place to dump on the concrete, I wouldn't bother me at all to take stuff. Your rear end keeps going out. I know that feeling. So I've took so much stuff into the landfills with semis and stuff, and I have seen so many flat tires. I've had so many flat tires. I went honest to God. I went into a scrapyard down in Delta, backed in there on a concrete pad, but they wouldn't clean it. And we had to back up here and dump. Well, you back up and dump on all this other junk that's in there and then leave. Well, I had to have 3 tires changed. I made it out of there, got across the scales, and then I got to a truck stop about a mile away, and I had to park there to get 3 tires changed. One was a brand new front steer tire and 2 drives. I left from there, went up to Detroit, picked up a load, come back here down to Delta, went to dump, and blew that brand new front steer tire. Now those were like $1,300 at the time, the big floaters. And it wasn't, they're not recaps, they're brand new tires. That thing had less than 125 miles on it, and it was junk. I called up and said, hey, I need another new steer tire. They said, which one? I said, the one that just got replaced. They said, you're kidding. I said, no. I said, you can't back into this place. So the boss come over. And he said, stay right there. So he come over and he looked. He said, I can't believe you guys are backing into this stuff. I said, they won't let us dump nowhere else. We have to back in here or we're not dumping. So he went to the office and he said, I'm going to tell you right now, you guys clean that up or we're not dumping nothing here no more. The next day they started cleaning with magnets and stuff, and then they ended up replacing the entire concrete pad. About a month later, they put in a whole new concrete pad with new steel runners and all this other stuff to keep you from getting flat tires. But you know, that's a big business expense when you start putting on tires, you know. Especially when you put on 5 or 6 in one day on the same truck. And it's not like you can pick and choose where you dump at either, because they got a guy right there and he tells you where to back up and where to dump. So, you know, you're kind of screwed. All right, everybody. Y'all have a great day. God bless. Take care, prayers, and peace. And I will see you tomorrow morning at 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard if you're so inclined to join me. Take care, everybody, and have a blessed night.